Hey everybody, a while ago I did a video on Man of War Corsair, and at the time I wasn't impressed with the game at all. However, after my video on it went live, soon after, there were some changes done by the devs, which made my video almost immediately out of date. More importantly, I also missed a very critical thing when talking about the developer's silence. This was that in the last month or so prior to the video, I believe that the developers had stopped communicating with the customer base. Their website was entirely devoid of life for at least a month. However, what I missed was that they were very active on Twitter. Despite not updating their website, they were posting concept art and in-works character models for their upcoming patches, and at the time they were posting about including squigs for the orcs. I totally missed that, and it changes the point I was making about being concerned about future updates. Then they did a number of rapid changes to the game, which further invalidated my point, and hence, here we are with another go. So, what's new? What's not? Starting out, the player character models have seen a bit of an update. While the quality of the models and textures remain dated, they are serviceable and aren't unduly ugly except in one noticeable case. The player character now has a choice of outfits and hats to start with, as well as 2 new player models for black characters. However, the players remain as human, with no option to start as non-human, which I still think is a shame, as personally I'd love to play as an orc or an undead. This brings a total of different player characters to 4: white man, white woman, black man, black woman. They each have unchangeable body types and faces, and hopefully that will change with time. As some form of customization would be great, and an update to the white female model would be great, as she is utterly hideous. It's worth noting that Warhammer is a notoriously white setting, both in the fantasy setting and in Warhammer 40,000. And no 40k fans, the Salamander Space Marine chapter does not count. With very few non-white human choices, the few non-white races in Games Workshop settings rarely have any representation in miniature or computer game form, so the inclusion of actual black characters is a step away from the norm. The sailing part of the game plays a lot like the sailing mechanics of Assassin's Creed Black Flag or Sid Meier's Pirates. You move the big red arrow over the target with the mouse and then shoot cannonballs at your target, while trying to maneuver around the opposing ship in a way to prevent your ship from receiving too much return fire. Eventually, you'll either sink the opposing ship or choose to board it. I've yet to find a reason to actually board an opposing ship, other than to have the variety of fighting in hand-to-hand. I've not found any way to capture enemy ships, which seems a huge oversight, as I'd love to capture an orc ship and captain it. But you can weaken the enemy crew up at range before boarding them for an easier time in hand-to-hand, which can be very helpful against tougher melee opponents like the Chaos Warriors. However, if you wanted to avoid actually having to risk your crew in melee with some of the most powerful warriors in the setting, then you can just sink their ship from afar. You can only board an enemy ship from the side, which is a change, as previously you could board an enemy ship from any angle, which often meant that you could avoid being rammed by pressing the space key just before the enemy ship made contact with yours, causing a boarding event to trigger. This also used to result in a hilarious graphical glitch, where the enemy ship would swing wildly as it tried to align itself with yours, clipping the front or back of their ship all the way through your ship and any character standing on the deck. This is now resolved, thankfully. In melee combat, you're either fighting it on the deck of your own ship or the deck of the opposing ship. It might sound odd to point that out, but until the recent patch all boarding actions took place on the player's ship. You tap onto your target and then click either the left or right mouse buttons to attack or block. This all seems to feel like it's in molasses, as it seems to queue up your actions, often meaning that the block you want to put in never happens, or you keep attacking until you're hitting one of your own crew. In many cases it can turn into an ugly scrum of character models swinging and lurching about in a blob, where trying to find a way to hit the right enemy is more down to luck than skill. You could try using the gun you're provided with, but the graphics lag that I experienced made it almost impossible to get a shot on target, and those that did hit did next to bugger all damage anyway. Of all the things the development team has updated, they seem to have touched the melee combat the least, simply changing the stats of the enemy since I last played, which is a real shame, as it is one of the weakest parts of the game. The melee combat still needs a lot of work, and while I'm not suggesting that the dev team goes nuts and makes an Assassin's Creed or Batman style combat system, simply increasing the fluidity and responsiveness would pay great dividends, and actually having some form of clipping to the characters to prevent them from standing inside each other while in combat is sort of, well, a necessity. It would be really nice if you could capture an enemy ship by boarding, because as it currently stands, you beat an enemy ship in a boarding action and then the ship spontaneously combusts. The upgrade system for your ship is quite accessible, and you can steadily increase the power of your ship by upgrading it. This is true also for the player, who has a skill tree and an inventory to manage. The crew, also, individually, can be upgraded and leveled up. It's on one hand nice to have a crew with names and a progressing set of skills, but when the starting ship starts with 15 crew, this quickly becomes a daunting task to keep them up to date. One of my problems last time was the difficulty in getting the gold together to buy a new ship. The amount of gold you can acquire seems to have been increased, which is very welcome as maintaining your crew and ship used to barely allow you to save. Now I can actually believe I will be able to buy a new ship. The quality of graphics in Man of War is rather haphazard. Some of the character models are great but are let down by their textures, such as the white male captain, and some things, such as the land, can be absolutely dreadful to look at in places, with harsh, unnatural angles and jutting sharp triangles stabbing out of the ground. Yet the ships for the most part are quite well made and decently textured, though a few textures are not well aligned. The whole thing can be summarized as serviceable graphics. The crew of the ship blurt out occasional sound bites to make them seem something other than figures that stalk the deck of your ship, but often it is irritating small talk or bits of pirate speak, referencing the Pirates of the Caribbean, and a rather ironic jibe about the crew in Black Flag singing being annoying. Which reminds me, the non-player character models are extremely hit or miss, and the vast majority of human models are similar to the look on Arnie's face in Total Recall when his helmet is shattered on the Martian environment. The mouths on the orcs make no sense. The front of the jaw looks open, but the rear of the jaw would make it impossible for the orc to have his mouth open, and this is an image on the starting screen of the game. The strong point of the game, which is something new to it, is the variety of the whole affair. I started a new game for this video, and within the first 20 minutes I came across a massive orc fleet invading Empire territory. This turned into a large-scale battle of 20 or so ships on either side, slogging it out for supremacy, with the Empire handily beating back the green tide. It was laggy, and very jerky, and a sea monster managed to get involved in it for some reason, but it was a fun experience, something which the game lacked before. Each faction controls territory, and apparently I'd sailed into a dispute. This is another fun thing that's been added, which certainly adds to the longevity of the game. You can now play alongside, although not officially, helping them gain dominance over each other in territories set on the seas. Each faction seems to be set in certain regions, and a rumour that a Skaven fleet was attacking a town made me set sail to investigate. I wanted to see what the Rat Men looked like. By the time I got there, I guess the Skaven had already been defeated, but I had arrived in enough time to see a Chaos ship bear down on the same location. I intercepted a Nurgle ship and decided to board it. After a very touch-and-go affair, my crew were victorious, but bloodied and battered. We had lost at least 4 comrades. After scuttling the playship, we noticed another give chase. In no state to fight, we pulled back towards port. Eventually, they caught up with us, and by the skin of our teeth, and some excellent work by our carpenters keeping the ship afloat, we sunk them, after we disabled their sail and water wheels. Moments like this is what makes Man of War fun, and the continuing updates that the devs put in continue to make this game more enjoyable. Hunting sea monsters is another feature that is fun, but needs a lot of work. On one hand, hunting big sea monsters like sea dragons and great sharks are great fun. On the other hand, the mechanics for this are ropey at present. In one case, 2 sea monsters seemed to spawn on top of each other, and the AI was in lockstep, meaning that the 2 sea monsters did exactly the same thing at exactly the same time, which was very, very strange. Including at one point the sea monsters seemed to instantly relocate themselves to a long way off fighting another ship. On the other hand, a fight with a sea dragon devolved into effectively locking into a cycle, where it would surface, get a full broadside from me during that animation, causing it to immediately sink under the waves, for it to reappear in exactly that same location and start all over again. There was no real risk to me at all. While recording some of the footage for this review, a new patch was released and it removed the menu-like town interface, which I complained about previously, and replaced it with a small town which you could walk around. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet. As it does breathe more life into the game, it also makes sorting things out while in port a more drawn-out affair. However, it is changes like that and the rapidity of changes to the game that shows that the devs are highly passionate about this game, and I hope they continue to improve the game month on month. There are still things that must be improved for it to be really worth the price tag of $30. Melee combat is certainly one of them. The autopilot system thrusting your ship into other ships or even large continents needs to be changed too. Especially since journey time is so bloody long. The graphics certainly need updating, and I hope that the desire to release new content doesn't mean that old content gets left behind unupdated. The game still has some odd graphical glitches, which resulted, for me at least, having some odd black squares appear on the screen briefly. The main selling point at this moment is the variety of things that you can do, and that's part of the reason why my opinion has changed a fair bit. It is playable. It is fun for the most part. It doesn't look great, and does run like arse at times, but it is a decent game underneath all that. Although I'm not sure how much time I will spend with it, but I will dip in and out from time to time, see what the devs are doing with it. But the main detraction to the game for me is that it takes forever to get anywhere, and a lot of the time is spent twiddling your thumbs and occasionally glancing back to see if anything at all has happened. I get the sea is big, but the emptiness of it means that you spend most of the time bored. I can't say whether or not I recommend it. It is an early access game and should be treated as such. And there are certainly a lot of good points, but the detractions to it are often so large, so notable, so bloody infuriating that it is a high barrier to entry. In all the hours I put in, which according to Steam is 12, I haven't bought a new ship, and I haven't moved more than a small way down the coast because after I end up sailing and not seeing anything for 15 to 20 minutes, I end up wondering, is this the best way to spend my time with the game? What I will say is that as far as early access developers go, they are committed to this game and have continued to improve month on month, and while there are certainly a large number of things that need to be rectified and improved, there are a lot of other things that just need a little polish for it to turn it into a really good little game. It's not there yet. It certainly has a lot more work that needs done to it. But that's why this game is an early access game and not a full release.